Good afternoon. Anglophone heritage is everywhere in Quebec, from the Ottawa River to the eastern townships to the Magdalen Islands. Knowing where to look is one way historical societies and museums serve local communities. This last year, the Quebec Anglophone Heritage Network, QAHN, worked with 10 community groups on a wide range of local projects. They will all help to ensure the stories of English Quebec continue to be a part of Canada's history. Memory places hold great meaning for all Quebecers. In small towns and rural communities, a family burial ground is often the only place to encounter this past. This is the Blackburn Pioneer Cemetery in Cantley. The Gatineau River Municipality has undergone rapid growth in recent years, and this historic site is threatened by a nearby housing development. One of the belonging projects QAHN supported this year was carried out by a local historical society called Cantley 1889. Cantley 1889 produced this bilingual plaque that tells about the early settlement of the area by Scottish and Irish colonists beginning in the early 19th century. Volunteers also built this walking path to the site, where a public reception will be held later this summer. We hope that municipal leaders and residents will learn to care about this history too. The community is currently working with local authorities to gain some legal protection for the site under Quebec's cultural heritage law. One of Quebec's oldest English-speaking communities is situated on the Magdalen Islands, where QAHN's partner, the Council for Anglophone Magdalen Islanders, or CAMI, operates 3 seasonal museums. Many families trace their history on the archipelago back 2.5 centuries. Over the years, CAMI has amassed a significant collection of historic artifacts, but lacked skills and tools for their proper conservation. Our Belonging Project helped the community document the provenance of artifacts in each museum and organize this information into a searchable database. The registry will help residents and future researchers gain better access to materials documenting Anglophone heritage on the islands. Enhancing collection spaces and creating a digital registry of these objects will support the English-speaking community's dream of establishing an accredited museum of their own. Magdalen Islanders have made significant strides toward this goal thanks to the Belonging Project. Down on Quebec's border with New York State, we were also pleased to work with a group of heritage volunteers whose efforts to celebrate local history exemplify how local cultural institutions help keep communities vital. Members of the Hemmingford Archives have been collecting, preserving, and sharing knowledge about local history for more than 30 years, yet the group didn't even have a home of its own until 3 years ago. Thanks to private and public donors and many volunteers like Myrna Paquette, Hemmingford is now home to one of the best managed community archives in the province. A refurbished church hall in the center of the village with modern research facilities and plenty of room for public gatherings. Here, local residents and visitors are going to be able to admire 2 brand new history displays thanks to the archive's participation in our Belonging Project. One set of banners explores historic buildings, people, and places from the past. What a great way to show how local archives can support lifelong learning in our communities. Another pair of banners traces and celebrates Hemmingford's legacy as one of Quebec's foremost apple-growing regions, dating back more than 2 centuries. Myrna said it best, I think. Communities thrive where people learn from each other. While COVID was shuttering cultural sites around the province, the Colby Curtis Museum switched to other means of engaging visitors. With funding from the Belonging Project, staff developed 2 bilingual self-guided walking tours that will be accessible to anyone with a smartphone starting this summer. Owned and operated by the Stansted Historical Society, the museum is housed in an iconic granite mansion built in 1860 for the family of Charles Colby. Colby was a lawyer and parliamentarian whose career spanned more than 2 decades. One of the museum's smartphone tours is dedicated to the story of his home, known as Carrollcroft. A second walking tour leads to points of interest in nearby Rock Island, where the Tomophobia once powered factories able to support communities on both sides of the international boundary. A strong sense of cross-border kinship between Derby Line, Vermont, and Rock Island continues to this day. They say necessity is the mother of invention. In Stansted, QAHN's heritage partners adapted to the pandemic and created new tools for showing and understanding that there's history all around us. Celebrating diversity was certainly the inspiration behind a new outdoor mural in the town of Richmond on the St. Francis River in the Eastern Townships. This ambitious project grew out of a partnership between the Richmond County Historical Society and the local St. Patrick's Society. The mural is a tribute to different immigrant families who put down roots in the area over the last 2 centuries, including those of Irish, Dutch, and French ancestry. Through the Belonging Project, QAHN was able to support this worthy and original initiative. Though Francophones make up the majority of local residents nowadays, heritage projects like these affirm the English-speaking community's place in culture and education in Quebec. We are also pleased that members of the Abenaki First Nation at Odanak contributed to the mural's design. Artwork is expected to be completed over the course of the summer. Small museums have to work hard at the best of times to catch people's attention. COVID has made the challenge even greater. For its Belonging project, the Missisquoi Museum planned to take its show on the road, getting folks out in 3 different communities for a series of talks and panel discussions with local historians. But with a ban on social gatherings for much of the last year, the series producers were forced to switch to an online format. These virtual tours turned out to be a great hit in both official languages. One of the few silver linings of the pandemic for heritage workers is that so many groups have gained new skills for delivering their programming online. Of course, nothing compares with historic sites in person. This covered bridge near Lennoxville, destroyed in 2002, sadly, was one of 8 landmarks featured in a set of information panels created by the Lennoxville Historical and Museum Society 30 years ago. In the mid-19th century, the bridge served the village of Capleton, one of several mining settlements in the area. Weather has damaged these panels over time, and the information they contain has become difficult to read, and in some cases in need of updating. With support from our Belonging Project, the Historical Society is repairing or replacing all of their panels in the greater Sherbrooke region and neighboring town of Waterville. The work list includes historic sites and buildings in the settlements of Huntingville, Milby, and Capleton. Plus, an entirely new information panel is going up at the busy junction of the St. Francis Street Bridge and College Street across from Bishop's University. The panel tells how the St. Francis River contributed to the history and pattern of development in this area. A dedication ceremony is planned for the spring.